Welcome to Lowndes Legal Talk, where we share perspectives on legal and business issues affecting you.
Hi, I'm Rachel Gebaide, Chair of the Employment Law Practice at Lowndes. I'm joined today by my colleague, Morey Raiskin. Last month, the state of Florida announced that the Florida minimum wage would increase by 9 cents to $8.65 effective January 1st, 2021. Last week, Florida's voters passed Amendment 2, which provides for a $15 minimum wage for employees working in the state. Morey and I will spend a few minutes today discussing some of the essential things that employers need to know and need to do to prepare for these changes. Morey, does the passage of Amendment 2, implementing a $15 minimum wage, affect the planned increase of Florida's minimum wage to $8.65 on January 1st?
No. The planned increase, which will be effective January 1st, continues unaffected by Amendment 2. And on January 1st, 2021, Florida's minimum wage will rise to $8.65 an hour. Unlike in the past, because of the passage of Amendment 2, on September 30th, 21, Florida's minimum wage will rise to $10, and then it will rise $1 each year on September 30th until it reaches $15, which I believe is on September 30, 2026. And that will be the wage going forward at that time.
So are employers required to give their employees notice of the minimum wage? And if so, how are they supposed to provide that notice?
Employers have always been required to provide notice and have traditionally accomplished that by posting in the work site the minimum wage at a conspicuous location. This year, because of the pandemic, that's become not only required, but a little more challenging because many people are not working in a unified work site. And so employers will be obligated to post the minimum wage there at the work site. And we recommend that you should post it as many places as possible, put it on a firm internet, send an email to employees, but communicate the minimum wage and its effective date, both January 1st to $8.65 and then September 30th to $10. So Rachel, what about tipped employees? How do employers address that issue?
Right. Well, federal law allows an employer to take a tip credit against the minimum wage paid to tipped employees, such as restaurant servers and bartenders. In Florida, the maximum tip credit is $3.02. This means that the increased minimum wage on January 1st, 2021 will increase the tipped minimum wage also by 9 cents to $5.63 per hour. Then, when Amendment 2 kicks in on September 30th, 2021, the Florida tipped minimum wage will increase again, but the credit will never exceed $3.02. So this means that on September 30th, 2021, Florida's tipped minimum wage will be $10 less the $3.02 tip credit for a required cash wage of $6.98 per hour. The tipped minimum wage, like the regular minimum wage, will increase by $1 each year until September 30th, 2026, when the tipped minimum wage in Florida will be $11.98. So $15 less the $3.02 tip credit.
Are there special requirements or notice issues for tipped employees?
There are, and that's also under federal law. But because our minimum wage changes annually in Florida, and in 2021 it will change twice, it requires the notice to be delivered annually, or in this case, 2 times. So the notice provided by tipped employers to their tipped employees, or rather the notice provided by employers to their tipped employees, requires a statement regarding what the direct cash wage is that will be paid to the employee, what the tip credit is that the employer is planning to take, and there's some other required information in that notice as well.
Do you have any suggestions, or are there better practices for how employers should go about this communication?
So while the law does not require that written notice be given, it is always a best practice to provide written notice to employees so that an employer can demonstrate that the notice was in fact provided. Ideally, the notice would be posted again in a conspicuous location. An even better practice would be to have tipped employees sign their copy of the notice, and then to have something on that company intranet or in other places, as long as we know and the employer can demonstrate that the employee did in fact receive the notice. And as I mentioned before, because the minimum wage will be changing annually, and in 2021 it will be changing twice, once on January 1st and then again on September 30th, employers need to make sure that those changes are communicated to their tipped employees.
What happens if an employer pays the federal but not the Florida minimum wage, since Florida's wage is higher?
There's still exposure to the employer for failing to pay the state minimum wage. So while there may not be a federal wage and hour claim under the Federal Fair Labor Standards Act, the employee can assert a claim under Florida's minimum wage law, which does require the employer to provide written notice to it requires the employee to provide written notice to the employer regarding their allegation that they weren't paid correctly, and it allows the employer an opportunity to remedy should they agree that there was an error. But then the employee can pursue their state law claim for unpaid minimum wages, an amount equal to that as liquidated damages plus attorney's fees and costs.
So there really are reasons to get this right if you're a Florida employer, and comply not only with the federal minimum wage requirements, but also the Florida minimum wage requirements.
That's correct. Yeah, accurate record keeping and accurate wage payments is critical.
Right. Well, thank you all for listening. We will be updating this as the laws emerge. We will have information on our website. We encourage you to call whomever at Lowndes that you regularly communicate with. We look forward to seeing you in the future. Thanks.
Thank you for joining us for Lowndes Legal Talk. For more information about today's topic or to learn more about our attorneys and practices, please visit lowndes-law.com.